Good afternoon, welcome to Les Sables d'Olonne for our Vendée Globe Live. It's Tuesday the 15th of December and we're on day 36 on the racecourse, very nearly day 37. Approaching halfway, whichever measure you really want to use, and on the racecourse, well, it really is seemed to be a bit of a day for repairs. But further back in the peloton is lighter conditions and there have been a few repairs going on. But the biggest repair is that on board Apivia, the race leader. Charlie Dallin notified his team at 6 o'clock yesterday evening. They had heard a noise and he has a problem with the port foil. And he's been in constant contact with his team since then. They have a repair plan underway, but meantime he's been doing 5 or 6 knots for pretty much ever since then. Now the problem is it's not with the foil the same as Thomas Riong had, or indeed Sébastien Simon had. The problem is close to the hull. It's in the support for the foil. But so Dallin had been leading for 23 days and since then, say he's been slowed. Meantime, Thomas Riong has taken over the lead of the race with Yannick Bestaven not too far behind, and Charlie Dallin has lost over 100 miles. Meantime, Sam Davis has returned to complete her circle. She left Cape Town yesterday afternoon and so her voyage will continue. Meantime, our guest today is Sidney Gavignet. Sidney, how are you?
Good. Hi, Andy.
Yeah, so Sidney, of course, who has done just about everything in sailing, from the Whitbread, the Volvo, Maxi Tries, the Route de Rhum, Class 40s, Mod 70s, now coaching, and more, I think, Sidney, working on the mental side of the game.
Yes, indeed. I'm turning myself towards coaching and helping people for performance, but more with a wider sense behind performance.
Good. We'll come back to you in just 1 minute, Sidney. We're going to look at the standings at midday, and as I say, Thomas Riong on Linked Out is the race leader once again. He led on the 21st of November, just before Charlie Dallin took over. He's now leading by 19 miles ahead of Yannick Bestaven and Maître 4. Then Charlie Dallin is now 105 miles behind. He was doing 4.9 knots on this 12 o'clock ranking. Jean Le Cam is 421 miles behind the leader. And then there are 5 boats within 2 miles. That's Benjamin Dutreux, Boris Herman's up to 6, Damien Seguin, Louis Burton, all these, including Jean Le Cam, are all within 2 miles at this day 36 in the race, which is just incredible. Isabelle Josch in 9th, Giancarlo Padotti in 10th. Then of our internationals, we go down to Alan Ruras in 15th, making 18 knots and going quite well, just coming into a new system. Pip Hare and Didac Costa doing 18.1 knots and 19.2 knots just now. Great averages over the last 24 hours for them, and they're still 13 miles apart on boats which are 20, 21 years old. Kojiro Shiraishi is in 21st. He's about 40 miles or so just ahead of Jeremy Bayou, and looks to be probably being caught by Bayou over the next 24 hours for sure. Meantime, Alexia Barrier and Miranda Merrin, another duo as it were, 3,782.5 miles to go for Alexia, 3,782.9 miles to go for Miranda. And Ari Husela in 27th, trundling along very nicely, enjoying his race and particularly enjoying his chocolates that he has every day for his advent calendar. So Sidney Gavignet, what are your thoughts on this race? To say you're not so much interested in the sports side of it, but the psychological approach of the skippers. Who's impressing you most?
Well, Andy, I still like competition for sure, no doubt. But who I'm impressed the most by is the people who are themselves. If you take Jean Le Cam, what is he doing so special? I think he's doing nothing special. He's just himself. He's just simply himself, which is great. And I'm just mentioning Jean Le Cam because he's been big in the media in France at least. But I think it's really it's fantastic to follow this race and to see the different approach from different people. For sure, the Vendée Globe for me is much more than a race. the competitive aspect of the race for me is under 50% of the full interest of such an event, and I think there's more than 50% on the adventure, the personal adventure, and how the personal adventure talks to us on the land. And there's a lot to be inspired by, and I think sailors, even racers, but not only racers, but sailors, a big part of their job, of their responsibility, is to share and to inspire people on the shore.
And that applies all the way through the fleet, doesn't it, Sidney, from the very front to the very back? You know, in his own way, there's Ari Husela, an airline pilot, you know, a 20-year dream, and he's making other people dream with it.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And this morning you sent me, you shared with me an email from Pipe, and she's incredible. I have been going through this email. First, she writes amazingly well, and I hope that editors will be queuing on the dock, and we learn a lot through our own adventure. So it's, as you said, for me, the winner of this race is, well, they're all winners, even people who abandon, because I'm sure they learn a lot through their abandon. But the best is not necessarily the first on the cutting the line, or best doesn't mean anything if we don't consider that best means competition plus all the story around and all the things that you contribute to people on the land. And I think the contribution to the land is so important into sailing, and even more specifically into offshore sailing. So I'm glad that the Vendée Globe is bringing that to us.
Indeed. I mean, two skippers who have got very different approaches, if you like, Louis Burton and Boris Herrmann. Louis Burton really went south early on, really went hard and fast, and has had a little bit of damage. And Boris has been super careful. He's preserved himself and his boat, and he's at 100%. And they're pretty much alongside each other just now. So the two approaches work in different ways.
Yeah, I think the key is to be aligned to yourself. I mean, you want to play it cautiously, and you put your own limits, and that's a strength. You have to know your own limits, and you have to respect your limits. Not knowing your limits and not respecting your limits is a weakness. So either way, you're saying now that they are almost alongside. Okay, that's a great learning for us. Thanks to them for that.
Indeed, let's have a look, because in fact Louis Burton put up his drone earlier on, yesterday or today in fact, and went over and filmed Boris Herrmann. Just shows you how close they are together. So this is Louis putting up his drone, and you'll see just on the horizon, Sea Explorer Yacht Club de Monaco, Boris watching the drone incoming. We get some lovely shots in just a few seconds as he picks up Boris's boat. Looks a little bit more like the Mediterranean at the moment, but some great images thanks to Louis Burton on Buro Valley. And you get a good idea of Boris's sail plan, and he's moving along quite nicely. And indeed, we did speak with Boris Herrmann on the Sea Explorer Yacht Club de Monaco on video earlier on in the day.
Hello, Andy.
How are you today? What is it for you? Is it morning or night?
You know, no? It's afternoon here.
All right. And how is your afternoon? It looks quite pleasant.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The first time since the St. Helena high that we have some high pressure, and we have light winds, sun. The boat is still moving at 10 knots. And we have all our toolboxes out and working on the various little subjects. I think Louis Burton next to me, he's doing the same thing, and Damien Apicil is. So we have 3 boats inside here. It's a beautiful day.
Now, talk to us a little bit about Cape Lewin. How many times have you been past Cape Lewin?
This was my fourth time. I have been once with a class 40 around the world with IMOCA 60 was Ryan in the Barcelona World Race, and with EDEC on the Jules Verne Trophy attempt, 2015. And yeah, this is now the fourth time, and Cape Lewin is really the most discreet of these three capes. The one that really matters is Cape Horn, of course, the one that I really want to see, that looks iconic and so on. Lewin is so far in the north. I didn't do much. I had a special lunch, but that was it for celebrating Lewin.
And how did it compare? How does it compare just now to what you've had in this part of the Indian Ocean before?
Wow, now it's a different world. The Indian Ocean till now was like a punishment. It was so hard. It was like wind every day, a bit too much wind, and gusty and irregular. The sea state was horrible, and many damages on the different boats. So they all have some little issues and problems, and I didn't really find my gas pedal in the Indian Ocean. If I look now that Yannick gained, we were starting together inside. I remember that video, nicely going into it together, and then he has taken 300, almost 400 miles out of me. It's a bit astonishing for me. It was not that I was on a vacation. I was really trying to push, but I didn't know how to go fast in this sea state, and it was very frustrating and difficult 2 weeks.
But I feel like you're saving yourself a little bit for the second half of the race.
That's right, Andy. I am with the boat in great shape. I have all my foils in place, all the sails are okay. I repaired, the last 3 days I had a sail repair every day, but today I repaired my jib top. The foot was a bit coming off, but I have everything. The boat is in great shape now. I have one more little project here, the starboard hydro generator, but really happy. So I'm not injured. I'm not particularly tired. I'm looking forward to get racing now and gain some miles back on Yannick, because we have pretty similar boats, and I have even bigger foils. So I'm a bit offended that he puts me back like this much.
Excellent, Boris. You're doing a fantastic job.
Yes, thank you, my friend. Have a good day.
So Boris Herman there on board Sea Explorer Yacht Club de Monaco. Sidney, as I was saying, he keeps a very measured, very even approach. The ups and downs are limited. How do you do that in this situation? And in life, indeed?
Well, I don't think there is need for more comment than what Boris said. Is fantastic. I understand why he's supported by the Monaco Yacht Club, because he's really the prince of the ocean. He speaks like a prince. No, but I think it's what's great is simply pacing himself. So that's so important, I think, on the boat and in life. Again, there's so many similarities. And also, I think what I learned from what he said is identifying his weaknesses when he said that he couldn't find the right speed in such conditions, and that's really a sign of strength. It's also a sign that he's got an outside view of himself and of his boat. So I think he's in control, and I don't think I think he's aligned. He's aligned to what he is. He's aligned with his boat. His boat is in good shape. Of course, you need luck, because when you talk about the foils, there is a real percentage of luck or bad luck involved into the foils. But he's doing it perfectly. So I have nothing to add. He said it all.
But does the problem come when he needs to step up the speeds and really start to pull miles back?
I think why he's losing so much. I mean, he's talking about 400 miles. It's when you let the system go, the other guy in front has more wind and you are behind the front, and that's huge. It could cost you 1,000 miles. So that's something that is probably not taking enough into account. It's not. Maybe it's been a bit slower at some stage, and then the weather made the difference. When I read this email from Pippa this morning, I saw that she decided, after losing big ground on other boats, that on the next front she would push a little more, even few more hours. So she learned from her first experience, and she did push. Now she's super fast, and she came back on the boat. So it's all about pacing yourself, learning for the people who do that for the first time, and quite a few of them are very humble, and they do learn from the situation, and they made a big progress all along the race.
I know that you're a big fan and a friend of Sam Davis. How important is it for her to have her carried on with her adventure and to get closure in this race?
So I hope you see me. That's what I'm doing to Sam. She's a goddess. No, really, I think it is what she had to do. You know, she had a big accident. That's bad luck. Luck is part of this kind of adventure. She and her team decided to keep going. I think that's huge, but that's the right decision. She's got kids into her mainsail, and again, this race is not only a race. The competitive part is nothing compared to the adventure and to the contribution that each sailor can bring to life, to the world. And for Sam, it's obvious, you know, she's sailing to save kids, so she had to go. On another hand, I think it's the right decision, and it's an embarrassing decision, I think, for other boats. So again, it's important to be aligned to yourself. So I can totally accept, admit, recognize a good reason to abandon. But I think that a race like this, if you can stop at Cape Town, if you can repair, it's the right decision to keep going for you, just to keep your adventure to the end. Going around the Cape Horn and going around the world, racing or not, is a huge achievement. It's a huge experience. So to live your dream up to the end is the thing to do. And it's also good for the sponsor. It's also good because you keep contributing to the public. And I think a real responsibility we have as a professional sailor is to share. So keeping going is to keep sharing. And my hat down to Sam. She did the right thing, and it's fantastic. And I'm sure she will give us plenty of positive things all the way along up to Les Sables.
Absolutely, Sidney. I take my hat off to Sam as well. Let's have a quick look at the meteo. We'll come back to you in just a second, Sidney. And this is the weather situation for the fleet this Tuesday. Well, it really is this high pressure system which is dominating most of the fleet, certainly for the peloton, which is Benjamin Dutroux, Jean Le Cam and Damien Seguin. This group here really has been caught in the worst of the high pressure system, and really back almost to La Fabrique, Alan Roura. It's the same system, and it's slowed them right down. Meantime, looking at the leaders, they're still just on the back of this frontal system, which is allowing them to keep up good speeds of more than double their distance on the peloton. The exception obviously being Charlie Dallin, who's slowed for the moment. Then looking a little bit further back into the fleet, we can see Armel Tripon here on L'Occitane, still basically running parallel to the exclusion zone. He has maybe 12, 15 knots of wind from the south, so he's reaching along here, making good progress. Still one of the quickest boats in the fleet. And then looking further back, Alan Roura now started to make decent progress. But I think the key area here is on the top curve of this low pressure system. We're seeing good conditions particularly for Pip here and Didac Costa just running the top of the low, and they're managing to make quite good speed. Unfortunately for Charal, just on the back of it, not quite getting the same breeze, but still pretty good conditions for them nonetheless. Now then, looking at the animation, if I can just open it up very quickly. We can see here we are looking at the routing for the leaders. Just the peloton just on the corner of the rescue zone. And we'll just run this now. You can see that they come down to the exclusion zone and really run parallel to the exclusion zone all the way for the next 3 or 4 days after this jibe, and then they come on to onto this port jibe and run all the way along for the next 3 to 4 days. Just in front of they're just in front of this little front here, so really will be ideal conditions to make good speeds, and moving away a little bit from the boats behind, but really no big systems for them just now as they head into the Pacific. Indeed, I think we'll be in the Pacific probably tomorrow night or into the following day. So Sidney Gavignet, tell us a little bit your thoughts on Alex Thompson. He was, I mean, hugely unlucky in the end, but the repairs he made were tremendous to see and just a measure of his character.
Yeah, well, I've been impressed by Alex. First, when he first broke the boat or the front of the boat, I think he's been so professional and so positive in the way he was repairing and communicating it. I think he gave big lessons to the French about technically about media system. His boat was an example for that. I also saw his interview, I think 2 days after he decided to abandon and when he was sailing to Cape Town. And again, I think it was so professional. In the meantime, it was very human. I think the way he described the Vendée Globe and the place it takes into his life was fantastic. You know, he's saying that he spent so many years hunting for the Vendée Globe. So we feel how hard it is for him to stop. In the meantime, the way he described it is so respectful for this event, and I really prefer to call it an event or an adventure than a race, because it is much more. And he's a pure racer, we all know it. But when he speaks about the Vendée Globe and this adventure, it's just a human, and I think the way he quit the race or the way he described it was so professional and so human. And I think the ability to mix professionalism and humanity is fantastic. In the meantime, I have to say, he's probably got his good reason, but I would have loved as well him to keep going as Sam did. Just for the good of it, because we like him as well. We like the boat, we like his story, and it would have been fantastic to see him, even not in the race, but finishing and keeping giving us some good messages.
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I think that one of the key messages I took from both Alex and from Sam as well, they both used the word beauty. The beauty of the race continues for them, even though the races are over. Yeah, well, it's you know, to be able to say that when it's so painful is impressive. Is a state of mind. It's a decision to focus on the positive. It is so humble. I think it's important to recognize it, and that's the key of, or not the key, the sign of big people. I mean, when you recognize your weakness in front of the event or in front of the nature, that makes you so powerful. So I'm really grateful for them to be part of it and to share it so well. Indeed, Sidney. Now listen, this has been a time for repairs. Yannick Bestaven, who's lying second, climbed his mast to repair his J2, and he gave us a little bit of an insight into what it's like to do that particular job.
Voilà, une belle réparation de fait. Putain, mais qu'est-ce que j'aime pas ça, monter dans le mât. Et encore, je suis pas tout en haut, hein. Mais bon, faut pas déconner quand même, hein. On n'est pas des alpinistes. Regardez ce que j'ai fait. Enfin, je vais pouvoir me servir de mon J2. Ouais, faut faire ça. Oh putain, le Vendée Globe. C'est pas les vacances, hein, les gars. Je vous jure, c'est pas les vacances, c'est sûr. Allez, ciao.
So Yannick Bestaven completing a vital repair to his J2, the workhorse sail for the IMOCAs just now. Sidney Gavignet, great pleasure to speak with you. I hope you'll join us again over the course of the race, and good luck with what you're up to at the moment. So that's all we have time for today. Our guest tomorrow is Patrick Shaughnessy, the president of Far Yacht Design, the designers of Jean Le Cam's boat and a number of other boats out on the racecourse. Meantime, we're leaving you with Group Apicil with Damien Sagan, just emphasising how close the race is with, say, five boats within 2 or 3 miles at the moment. Meantime, join us tomorrow.
Voilà, ça c'est la désolation du marin, ça. Plus rien du tout. Il y a le nuage là-bas qui a pris tout le vent, donc on va attendre que ça revienne. Je sais pas combien de temps ça va durer. Et voilà, c'est en train de repartir, il y a un petit peu de vent pour pouvoir avancer. Alors on va tricoter pas mal le long de la ZE1 pour continuer à descendre sud, mais comme vous voyez il fait super beau, il fait même presque bon d'ailleurs. Hein. J'ai plus qu'une seule couche de fringues sur moi, c'est incroyable, hein. On est par 47 sud et il fait doux quoi, comme quoi. Hein. Donc voilà, je suis content, on a retouché du vent. Bon, moi ça aura duré un petit peu, j'ai pas compté les heures, mais j'en ai profité pour bricoler, faire plein de choses sur le bateau, réparer un peu le J2. J'ai grimpé dans le mât aussi pour vérifier 2-3 petits trucs. Donc voilà, c'est reparti, c'est cool. Faudrait peut-être que j'arrive à me reposer aussi un petit peu aujourd'hui.